But some took advantage of this to create chaos and to resort to violence and confrontation and to jump over constitutional legitimacy and destroy constitutional legitimacy. These protests were transformed from civil protests and modern protests in a fair way of expressing opinion that were transformed into unfortunate confrontations which were moved or controlled by certain political factions which strive to escalate the situation and change the nature of these calm protests, what were calm protests. And they attacked the stability of the nation by these provocative acts, by the looting which occurred, and they lit up fires, and they blocked roads, and they assaulted state institutions, and they assaulted the assets, attacked certain assets in certain areas, and they also attacked certain diplomatic buildings in Egypt. We are living very painful times now, and what hurts us most of all, what hurts our hearts, and the fear in the hearts of a majority of the Egyptians, and what really brought concern for the Egyptians regarding what tomorrow might bring for them and for their families and for their loved ones and for their future and for the fate of their country, is the following. The events of the last few days impose on all of us, the people and the leadership, to choose between chaos and stability. And here we are witnessing new circumstances and a new Egyptian reality, and hence our people must deal, and our armed forces must deal with this new reality with wisdom, and also with taking into consideration the interests of Egypt and its people. We must have the highest level of wisdom to deal with this new reality. I took the step of forming a new government, my fellow citizens, with new directions given to react positively with the demands of our people and the requests of our people. And I called on the Egyptian Vice President to hold dialogue with all different political factions, a dialogue regarding all issues which were raised, all issues related to democratic and political reforms, and the constitutional amendments and legitimate amendments which are needed in order to go ahead with these constitutional reforms and these political and democratic reforms to bring about stability once again and calm once again. However, there are some political factions which refuse this call for dialogue. They held on to their private agenda without taking into consideration the very sensitive period which we are currently witnessing, the sensitive period for Egypt and its people. And with this refusal from these political factions to go ahead with this dialogue, and by the way, this call for dialogue is still open right now. And here I would like to speak directly to the people of Egypt. I would like to speak to the farmers, to the labor workers, Muslims, and Coptic Christians, to the elderly, to the youngsters. And I'd like to speak to all to every Egyptian man and woman in the country, in the city, to people all around Egypt, all over Egypt. I've never strived to stay in authority. I was never one who wanted authority and power. And you know how I took responsibility in very sensitive times. You know what I have given, what I have sacrificed for the sake of the country in war times and in peace times. I am also a former military man, and it is not my nature to betray or to abandon my responsibility or my duty. My first and foremost responsibility right now is to retrieve the security and stability of the nation in order to transfer power in a peaceful manner and in an atmosphere which protects the Egyptians and protects Egypt, and which allows responsibility to be transferred to someone who was chosen by the people in the next presidential elections. And I would like to say very honestly, regardless of the current circumstances, I would like to say that I wasn't intending of being a candidate for the next presidential elections. I have had enough. A lot of years have passed while I have served Egypt and served the Egyptian people. However, now I am very keen and intent on ending my political efforts, my political life for the sake of the country, and I will end this in a way which provides for the peaceful transfer of authority, also in a way which preserves the legitimacy and respects the Constitution. I would like to say in a clear language that in the next few months of my presidential term, I will do my best for all measures to be taken in order to peacefully transfer power and authority. I would like to do this in the best way and in a way which is provided to me by the Constitution, in the way which the Constitution stresses on. I call for amending Articles 76 and 77 of the Constitution, and this will amend the conditions for the candidacy of President and will give a specific term for every President. This also in order for the current Parliament in its two houses to discuss these amendments, to discuss these constitutional amendments and what is related to them, the legitimate amendments also for the laws which complete the Constitution, and in order to guarantee the participation of all different politicians, all different political factions, I call on the Parliament to be committed to the judiciary and to the decisions taken by the judiciary regarding the complaints made in regarding the former elections. I will continue with my efforts and I will answer to the demands of the people. I will do my best to answer the demands of the people. The performance of the government must answer to the demands of the people regarding the constitutional reforms, the social reforms, political reforms, and also to create new jobs and to combat poverty and to achieve social justice. And in the same perspective, I call on the police to play their role and to serve the people and to protect the Egyptian citizen in an honest way, in an honorable way, and also to totally respect the rights of the Egyptian citizens and to respect their freedom and dignity. I also call on the authorities and on the judicial authorities as well to immediately take any measures which are required in order to continue hunting down the corrupt figures and to investigate those who are behind the security chaos, the instability, to investigate with those who are behind the fires and the looting and the terrorizing of citizens. This is my pledge to the Egyptian people during the next few months of my presidential term. I pray to God that I am successful, that I be successful in fulfilling this pledge and in giving Egypt more and more in a way which satisfies the nation and its people. My honorable citizens, my fellow citizens, Egypt will be able to come out of this current crisis stronger than it was before. More confidence and with more cohesion and with more stability. Our people will come out of this crisis and they will be more vigilant of their interests and more intent on not surrendering their future and their fate. Hosni Mubaarak, who is speaking to you right now, today, is proud of the years he has spent, of the long years he has spent in serving Egypt and in serving its people. This beloved country, this beloved nation is my nation, just as it is the nation of every Egyptian man and woman. I lived in this country, I fought for this country, I defended the territory of this country, I defended its sovereignty and its interests, and I will die in Egypt, and history will judge me and will judge others. The nation will stay, the nation will remain, people will go away, but the nation will come, will continue, and Egypt will always live will always live because of the strength and the muscle of its citizens. And we must guarantee that this will happen in an honorable way. Generation after generation must work on this. May God preserve this country and its people. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.